I'm going to talk to you about a few different things, most notably that clip of you in Birmingham at Bike in 2000. You did a 360 to disaster on that sub rail.
Oh
You were
yeah, the
calling it the rock
540
and
rock
roll.
and roll thing.
Yeah, let's talk about that. How'd that all come about?
Uh, I was doing a couple, maybe a year or so earlier. I was working on that trick just on a ramp, right? I think I started doing it maybe at this Red Bull event in Ireland that 70s brought me up to. We drove up with Nate Wessel and Ian Morris and maybe Ed Doherty, maybe. And I just did it on the ramp, and then I thought, oh, when we got to Bike 2000, I don't know if before that or not, I just thought, like, man, it'd be sick to do that. And then I just sort of went for one, and it kind of came around, and I caught the rail in between my wheel and the down tube, you know, like kind of like if you're hooking your bike. I was like, oh, that's maybe doable. And I had thought I had invented that trick at the time, but then I saw a video of someone, I cannot remember his name, a guy in England at South Seas doing it in like 93 or something, like on like a little 2-foot tall ramp.
Yeah, I mean, that's super gnarly. You pulled it on that rail. Was it with a
Yeah, I
bash
mean,
guard?
that probably took, I mean, it took a lot of tries. I don't want to say, could have been 20, could have been 40. It took a lot of tries though, but that's probably the cleanest one I ever did. I did another one on a rail the next year, Bike 2001, with a 4-foot deck, which is, you can see it in props. It's kind of different because it's such a big deck. I have to hop in different. And I did another one in Germany once, and then the only other one I did like that where, because you can do them on subs in your front wheel touch, but when your front wheel touches, it's like exponentially, it's a different trick. It's super easy. Not super easy. I don't want to say that because it took me a long time to try to do it in that last caveman edit I do it in, and that's my banger. So clearly it's hard for me.
Yeah, it's gnarly.
But I did one on a sub at a contest that I put up before, where I do it on a sub with a deck, but my front wheel never touches the deck. It just pivots on sprocket. And so I've only done a couple in my life.
Was it with a bash guard in Birmingham?
No, it was all chain, just chain. But the chain wheels used to be so big, you could do it. You know, now it's a little more difficult, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. So
Yeah.
you were the first rider to get on Etnies. Actually, they didn't even have a BMX program at the time. Is that
Yeah.
correct? Back in '93?
It would have been 93, I think, yeah.
So how did that all start? How did you get on Etnies originally with it just being skaters at the time?
Well, I grew up with skaters, right? Like, so when I went and rode, until I met Brian Castillo, I pretty much rode with skaters every day. Jeremy Ray, Jonas Ray. Jeremy was on Plan B. He was a pretty big skater back in the 90s. Paul Luna, he rode for Blockhead. And so those were my guys I rode with, right? And I think Paul Luna rode for Etnies, or got shoes from Etnies. And I had Jeremy rode for Airwalk, and he had shot here's a funny story. He had shot he was shooting at this roof cap. The first photo I ever had in a magazine ride was me 360 roof to roof at this famous roof cap here in La Habra, where I grew up. And so he was shooting something on that, and I was jumping on my bike the same day. And the photographer, Dan Sturt, shot a photo of Jeremy olling it and me jumping it, and it ended up like a full-page spread in the Airwalk catalog.
Oh, wow, that's gnarly.
And so after that, I got a hold of the Airwalk team manager. And honestly, I can't remember if it was Alan Foster or Kim Boyle, but I said, hey, man, maybe I can get a couple pair of shoes. I was a little kid. You know, I was like 14 or something. I'm like, maybe I can get a couple pair of shoes. And he says, you're not good enough to be on the team. And they never sent the shoes. And the shoes finally showed about 6 months later. And I thought, like, that seems fair. You know, you put a full-page photo of me in your catalog. You know, they finally showed up later, and I loved Airwalks, man, at the time. But in that time, I was like, we were also filming for Dirty Deeds. And so I put a sponsor me video together. Well, I had one, and then I put a bunch of stuff in Dirty Deeds. And we sent it to Etnies, and Etnies responded. And then that's how it started. And so you could pretty much say the reason an Etnies team started is because Airwalk didn't want to send me a couple pair of shoes. That's literally why. Like, Airwalk, I mean, I'm not going to say it, but Etnies came such a full force in that it had it took a lot of sales away from Airwalk. So,
I would imagine.
At the time, you know, so that was the reason why the Etnies got into it, because of that happening to me and me making the call over there.
So on a similar note, in '99, you joined Nixon and Hurley, also two companies not really affiliated with BMX, but it was always kind of cool you're paving the way. How that kind of the same story?
Well,
around skaters.
Yeah, I mean but also then I was also team manager at NES, so I met the Nixon dudes through my buddy Brandon, who was helping with set up the Nixon guys, and one of the guys at Hurley was from the same town I was at, but we'd known each other forever. Even though I didn't know he's 10 years older than me. I didn't know him, but I just went over there and sent him in my stuff. But I didn't bike riding. To me, things weren't cool. Like, not they weren't cool, but like I growing up in Southern California, I didn't. To me, cool is a totally wrong word. Let's take that out. My world was bigger than BMX. You know what I looked at because of all the other my friends and what they were doing in the other industries. So to me, it didn't seem any different. Like, why would I try to ride for Little Devil that doesn't really? And I love Little Devil, love Derek. But like that didn't represent who I was, right? But Hurley was like, oh, I'm a California kid, you know, and that just felt more like home. And Nixon, the same thing. Nixon I got introduced to those guys. We sort of hit it off, and then I started doing stuff with them too. But I also learned early on because at some point I hated going to contests. I went to contests only because Hoffman wanted me to go to contests, and then I did really good at 2 contests. One in Florida where I got 3rd place, and one in Seal Beach where I got 3rd place. And like in Florida, I didn't jump the box. I didn't do anything, and I qualified 1st, and everyone was pissed. Hey, we're back again.
Yeah. So anyway, we were talking about the mega ramp, and I was saying how you're one of the first pioneers to hit the mega ramp, other than Matt Hoffman with the quarter. Do you want to go back and elaborate on that real quick?
Yeah, I mean, Matt did the quarter. I think sometime around 2000, maybe, I did this where I flipped a helicopter for MTV, and that was sort of a mega ramp style ramp. It was like 35 feet long. We just built it really wrong. Around 2005, the X Games, there was a mega ramp built out at Point X Camp that Danny Way used. A couple people had jumped it. Alan Cook, actually, I think it did it, and I don't know if that's where he did it, but he held the backflip world record at like 50-some feet, 54, 50, something like that. So I would always they have the mega ramp contest at the X Games, and I was always like, "Can we ride this?" And they were always saying no. And then about a month before the 2005 X Games, they were like, "Hey, you want to come break a world record? The only bid is you have to do it before the X Games opens, and you have an hour to do it." So I flew to Pastrana's house because I didn't have anywhere to try it, and I just did it into the foam off his motor ramp. I flipped it, and then I figured out how to do a 360 over it. And at the time, in my head, because of spinning, going off something so fast, I thought maybe I'd do it more like a spine. So it's more like a flip tabletop sort of. And I'd take the hand off to my head. I'd be able to stall it out by pushing down on my bars. So when the day came, I'd never jumped it before. I basically jumped it 3 times. I was scared, dead sailor. Then I flipped it once, safety case, hung it, bounced like 20 feet, and then. Problem is that those ramps, like I said before, is the sweet spot is 50 feet, right? And so to beat the record of 54 feet, you got to overshoot it. But when you overshoot down a downhill, you start having to drop a long ways. And so I'd have to overshoot it a lot. So I think I ended up with like 63 feet or something like that. And then I had like 20 or 30 minutes left, so I went and tried to get the 360. It took a few tries and got it. So I was pumped. But then
awesome.
here's the part that sucks. Is the next year in 2006, they actually opened it up for the first BMX contest. They invited 5 people, and I wasn't invited.
Oh, bummer.
Well, which was crazy to me because I was the only person they had footage of. And Bestwick was invited, if I remember right. I may have this wrong. And I believe at the end, he ended up not wanting to do it. So they were inviting people that didn't necessarily want to do it. And then they asked me about an hour before the contest if I wanted to enter, and I just said no, which I should have because I would have at least got top 3, you know?
Yeah.
And because I could have at least 360'd it, and no one was going super huge in the quarter pipe. I could have done, maybe an 8 or 9 or 10 foot air or something,
Yeah, I don't know if – I'm sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, I don't know if this is true or not, but I remember seeing a clip of you at Woodward West trying to front flip, tail tap, front flip, and you're planning on maybe doing that on Mega Ramp?
One of the years for Mega after that I started entering the contest, I was, I was never going to go very high in the quarter. I think the highest air I ever did on the Mega Ramp was 12 feet. And to me, that was like, cool, I won in my head. I've been 12 feet above a ramp because few people have ever been 12 feet, at least back then. Now people do 12 feet above 8-foot ramps. It's crazy. But back then, and so I was happy with that. And so I thought, oh, well, what can I do in this contest that would be fun? And I'm at a point, too, where I didn't care about how I did. I just wanted to do something cool. So I thought, what if I could do a Fufanuta front flip on that quarter pipe? So I went to Woodward West. I put a bunch of sub boxes up on the vert ramp, and I would go up and I'd foo for tail tap and try to front flip into the foam pit. And I was coming around to where I'm like kind of coming in onto my butt, right, into the foam. And I'm like, well, maybe I can do this. And so I went to try one, just like a tail tap to one on the resi, and I just got ejected to my back onto the flat, which made me realize the thing I've always known is that front flips are stupid. I should have nothing to do with them. And so that was the end of that. Yeah.
That's crazy. So
Yeah.
I want to go back and talk about your Hollywood stunt work again.
Yeah.
I know we talked about it, but you said, how did you get into it again?
I mean, I got into it mostly because I did some bike gigs, and like I said, I always wanted to do it. I did a Nintendo commercial with Spike Jonze and Mike Achenbach, and then I stunt doubled for a show called Pacific Blue. It was like mountain bike cops. And then I slowly got little bike jobs here and there, and then things finally turned the corner for me a little bit after I did a movie called Stick It. And they had a bike opening sequence, and I designed that and did part of the stunts for it, along with Scotty Kramer and Eddie Fiola. And then after that, the stunt coordinator, who was that? I'm blanking, but he started hiring me for other stuff, like regular stunts. And so then I started being able to do more and more. And now, but it's every stunt job I get, I have to work really hard to get it, and everything's a hustle. I still every time I'm off a job, like if I'm working a job, it's great. The day afterwards, I'm like, okay, I'm unemployed. I got to hustle to try to get another job. No jobs are coming to me. I have to go and find them, you know?
I got you. Yeah, it's crazy. So, yeah, we can wrap this up. Have you been riding, up until the virus thing started regularly?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of got hurt. And in 2017, it seems so long ago, at that Battle of Hastings, I tried to nose pick a pillar.
That was gnarly.
And I kind of, if you notice in the crash, I clip and twist off it. And any other time in the world, I would have got up and kept going, but my whole back and legs went numb for a second. So I was like, something's up. And then I didn't think about it again. In early 2018, my back got really bad. I had actually hurt it on that thing. I messed up my L1, L2, and L3. And it took about a year to get better. And then as soon as I got better, I tore my knee again, which is the 7th time I've done it.
Jeez.
So I've had 6 knee surgeries, and I didn't get surgery on that time, but I need it. So I didn't get to ride a lot last year. And then I rode a little bit at the end of the year. And I wasn't working either. So then I was on Suicide Squad 2 for quite a while. So I got to ride maybe once. I rode like 5 times last year because of being injured. And then this year I've ridden twice. I just was on Suicide Squad again at the beginning of the year. And then I got a day in. And then the other day I got a day in riding a big full pipe, which was pretty fun. But yeah, I mean, I get to it just depends on what time of year and how much I'm working. But
understandable.
Before all that, I mean, I was riding a lot. I was riding pools every week. And I pretty much just ride pools. And the reason why I think is because I have to sort of I can't be out killing myself riding a bike because I don't make a living riding a bike. So I have to make sure that I can feed my family and make sure I have stunt jobs when I healthy to do them. And for me with pools, to me half of it is looking for the pool, and it's hard to do super simple tricks in there. So it's a little bit. I feel like I still have to push myself. It's still scary sometimes, but I definitely don't have to put myself in a position to where I have to be like I could get wrecked on this to just get that feeling I'm looking for. And plus,
yeah, makes sense.
To me, mostly bike riding is getting to hang out with a few friends that I get to ride with. So, yeah.
Cool. You want to shout out your podcast or your clothing company?
Yeah, I have a podcast called Keep Bleeding. I've got about 13 or 14 episodes up, I think. I kind of took a break during this, but it's going to start up again soon. But it's pretty good. It's about basically anybody who's mastered their craft and all the sort of ups and downs. People getting eaten alive and surviving, doing surgery without anesthesia. It has, athletes and actors, rappers. It's a lot of stuff, but it's been pretty good. I'm excited about it.
It's gnarly. Hell yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Your time.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, whatever you need, man.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, dude.
All right, have a good one. See ya. Bye.
Later.